back, just trying to do a little bit of an update. And basically just on how I've been feeling and my journey so far trying the Herbal protocol, which I've now been on for about 2.5 months. Started it middle of April, and now we're into July, middle of July. I guess there's not a whole lot to report on because it hasn't really done too much for me, to be honest with you. Right now I'm on basically Buhner's core protocol for Lyme disease minus the skull cap, Chinese skull cap. I had a little bit of a harder time coming across that, and I just started the other stuff and really just been focusing on staying on that for right now. And I was turned on to that protocol actually through Bill Rawls' book. I think when I post this, I'll post the title of that book. I can't remember what it's called right now off the top of my head, but it's the latest book he came out with. He has 2, and it's his most recent book that he came out with. And in that book, he talks about, you know, his journey with Lyme disease and chronic fatigue syndrome. And he explained how he believed it was Buhner's protocol that got him better. And he talks at pretty good length about different types of herbals and supplements, but he says, you know, if there's only a couple that you can take, the core to take would be Japanese knotweed, cat's claw, Andrographis, Chinese skullcap, and I believe garlic with Acillin. So as I mentioned before, the only one that I didn't try was the Chinese skullcap, and maybe I will try that in the future, especially because I believe he says that it helps with sleep, can help you get to sleep at night, which most of us have a hard time doing. And the other thing that I'm not on anymore that I was taking was garlic with Acillin. For me, it actually makes me feel fatigued in the morning, and I have that reaction just to raw garlic as well. Like if I have garlic on food, it makes me tired in the morning. And I'm not really sure why that is, other than maybe just how it plays into my immune system imbalance. I'm not sure if many of you guys are familiar with the Self-Hacked website, but if you look that up online, he goes through pretty good detail about the different types of immune response that your body has, like a Th1 versus Th2 immune response, and what you should do to try to regain that balance. And if you do have an imbalance, that's one way or another, certain herbs and supplements you want to avoid, and certain herbs and supplements you want to take on. So that was, I'm not really sure whether I'm Th1 or Th2 dominant, to be honest with you. I'm just trying things right now at this point. So I've been on this protocol, like I said, for about 2.5 months. I really haven't noticed anything in terms of symptom improvement or increased stamina. There really hasn't been any change in my sleep. In addition to taking those herbs, I've also been on low-dose naltrexone, and I started about 3 weeks ago like a really low-dose testosterone with HCG. And the reason for that is because I have those really weird and crippling crashes after I do physical exercise. If I avoid most physical exercise, I can get myself to feel pretty good. I'd say overall my health is about 65% right now. But when I go do exercise and I overdo it, I drop down to about 30%, and I am a mess. So we've been trying to figure out ways to get around that crash, and figure out how I can help my body regenerate. And the interesting thing is, even if I go out and do exercise, regardless of what kind of exercise it is, my muscles are never really that sore afterwards. It's really more of, I'll say, a problem with like central fatigue and just being really tired and really run down. So we're trying to figure out ways for me to get around that. And after being on antibiotics for years and trying different herbs and supplements and not seeing any results whatsoever, we decided that maybe this was a path worth pursuing. But I think I said before, I'm only on like a 25 milligram dose of that, and I haven't noticed any difference in my recovery from workouts or any difference in my energy so far. So I'm gonna stick to it for a while, and probably give you guys an update later on down the road. as well as the Herbal Protocol. I'll probably stick to that for a while. In Bill Rawls' book, he does say that within 3 months he noticed a difference, and I'm coming up on that 3-month mark and I haven't noticed a difference yet. But a lot of other people I've heard, it takes a long time. You can take up to a year to see improvements on that. But it's pretty easy just to pop a couple of pills. It's not that expensive, so I really have everything to gain by sticking with it. So that's what I'm going to do. One other thing that I've been on that I will say I have noticed a difference with is low-dose naltrexone. Now, when I started this, the only reason my doctor started me on it was to help me with sleep. And for those of you that are not familiar with low-dose naltrexone, what it was really used and designed for was people with addictive disorders and opioid users. So I believe it's an opioid blocker, and generally for that purpose, it's used in much higher doses. But by accident, they found out that it helps stimulate people's immune systems at very low doses. And this has been used in different types of chronic diseases, chronic fatigue syndrome, different types of autoimmune diseases, and a lot of people have had a lot of good success on it. If you go out there online onto different types of forums, you'll see that a lot of people swear by it. It's almost like a miracle drug. When I first started taking low-dose naltrexone, I was taking it too small of a dosage, and I didn't realize that. I was only taking 0.5 milligram every night, and people who are using it for the purposes of boosting immune function are using between 1.5 and 4.5 milligrams. So when I worked myself up to that dosage, I started to see some positive things happen. Initially, when you start ramping up, it does make you feel crappier. And I've confirmed this with other people, and they say, yeah, you'll feel like crap at first, maybe for the first couple of days as you're ramping up, but it does go away, and you start to feel better. And for me, when I had worked myself up to 1.5 milligrams, I noticed an improvement in my energy level in the morning. The problem is once I realized that I needed to take that dosage, I had run out of my supply. And then I had to get an appointment with my doctor, refill my script, so that took a while. And then it took a while for me to get my script refilled. And once I got it refilled, I went on vacation, and I didn't take it at all. So now, I'm back to just working my dosage back up. And once I get back up to that, I definitely need to stick to it for a couple of months. And depending on how things go, I'm going to make another video dedicated just to that, and I'll let you guys know how it's working for me. Something that is worth noting too about low-dose naltrexone is that I could see empirically what it was doing to my body because I measure my heart rate variability every morning. And what heart rate variability is, it's basically just the time interval between your heartbeats. And there's a lot of research out there that's been shows, I should say, how heart rate variability relate autonomic system function. Specifically, how well balanced your sympathetic and parasympathetic system are. So if you're in a state of heightened stress, or your body's trying to fight off a disease, or you're going through a symptom flare, your sympathetic system is going to be very pronounced, and you're going to have very low heart rate variability. When your body is more relaxed and you're not in that fight or flight response phase, and your immune system is getting better functioning, I'll say, your parasympathetic system starts to dominate and your heart rate variability goes up. In other words, the variance between your heartbeats increases. And when I started taking low-dose naltrexone, and maybe I'll add a graph into this video if I can. I'm not very tech savvy, so that might be difficult. But anyways, if I can pull this off, I can show you the peak in the graph when I started taking the low-dose naltrexone. And there was a shift from sympathetic dominance to parasympathetic dominance literally overnight. So there's a lot of significance with that. And, interestingly, I haven't seen any research online where researchers were looking at that as a marker. And understandably so, it may not be important to them, but from understanding how your central nervous system is trying to deal with everything that your body is dealing with, I think it is important. And I just thought it was pretty cool to see that shift. So if I can share that information with you guys, you know, pictorially, I'll try to do that. But other than that, you know, I can't say that I've made a whole lot of progress the past 2.5 months that I've been doing these things. But you know, that happens sometimes. You're gonna stall out sometimes in your recovery program, and you gotta just keep on marching forward and trying different things. You know, we're all going through it, and there's a lot of people out there that, you know, they'll take 2 steps forward and 3 steps back, and that happens for a while, but eventually something sticks and you keep progressing forward. So I'm going to keep on trying to get to that point, and if I stumble across anything that really helps that happen quicker, I definitely will share that with you guys. But until that point comes, take it easy, and I hope you guys are feeling all right.